still remember the day everything changed. The day I rolled into the government house in my old wheelchair. The same wheelchair that my parents once pushed through the streets so people would drop coins into my dirty bowl. But that day, instead of coins, I heard my name echo across the hall as important people stood up for me. The governor himself walked toward me with a smile, stretched out his hand, and said, "We are honored to have you here. Your story moved the whole state." Everyone clapped. Camera flashes went off. And for a moment, I forgot the pain of my past. I forgot the tears. I forgot how my own parents made me beg under the hot sun because my legs could not work. I forgot the hunger, the shame, the punishment. But as I reached out to take the governor's hand, something unexpected happened. A voice I knew too well shouted from behind me, a voice I never wanted to hear again. "Don't listen to her. She doesn't deserve this honor." I turned slowly, my heart shaking. It was my father. The same man who once left me on a cold street corner for hours, telling me to cry louder so people will pity you. He had come to stop everything. And just when I opened my mouth to speak, he rushed toward me with angry eyes, pushing through security as chaos exploded in the room. That was the moment everything turned upside down. But before that shocking day happened, let me take you back to the beginning, to where my journey truly started. When I was a little girl, my name was Hannah. I lived in a small wooden house with my parents and younger brother. I was born with legs that were weak and bent, and as I grew older, they never became strong. While other children ran, climbed trees, and chased each other, I crawled on the floor or sat quietly by the doorway, watching their laughter float in the air like birds I could never catch. My mother did not hug me. My father did not smile at me. Instead, they looked at me as if I was a heavy load they wished they could throw away. "Why did God give us this burden?" my mother often asked. "Useless child," my father added. Their words pierced deeper than any wound. One afternoon, when I was about 7 years old, I heard them arguing loudly. "We have nothing," my father shouted. "No money, no food, nothing." "And what do you want me to do?" my mother cried. My father's voice dropped lower. "Use her." My heart froze. I didn't understand at first. Use me for what? But the next morning, everything became clear. My mother dressed me in an old torn dress. She put a cracked plastic bowl in my lap. "You will come with us today," she said. "Do as we say." They lifted me into a rusty wheelchair someone had thrown away long ago. The wheels squeaked like they were crying. They pushed me into the town market where crowds of people rushed around, buying and selling. The air smelled of ripe mangoes mixed with dust and sweat. My father parked my wheelchair under a big tree and said, "Cry, look sad, don't stop. People will give money." My eyes widened. "Papa, I don't want to beg." His hand came down so fast that I couldn't dodge it. He slapped me across the face. "You will do what I say." So I cried. At first, it was fake crying. But soon, the pain, the shame, and the fear made it real. People looked at me with pity. Some dropped coins. Others whispered to themselves. A few shook their heads as if my parents were wicked, but none of them stopped the scene. When my parents came back in the evening to collect the money, they didn't ask if I had eaten. They didn't ask if I needed water. They just grabbed the bowl, counted the coins, and smiled at each other. "Good," my father said. "Tomorrow we will bring her again." From that day, begging became my life. Every morning, I sat in that same wheelchair, holding that same bowl, crying until my eyes hurt. Sometimes the sun burned my skin. Sometimes rain soaked my clothes. Sometimes people walked past and pretended not to see me. But the worst part, my own parents didn't see me either. They only saw the money. Years passed like that, slow, painful, and hopeless. One day, while I sat under the same big tree in the market, something strange happened. A woman approached me. She wore a simple blue dress and carried a bag of books. Her face was gentle, and her eyes were warm. She knelt beside me. "What is your name?" she asked. "Hannah," I whispered. "Who brings you here every day?" I lowered my head. "My parents." She sighed softly. "Do you want to go to school?" My heart jumped. School me. Yes, you have a bright face. You should learn. I shook my head. My parents won't allow it. Why not? I didn't know how to explain. I only looked away. The woman stood up slowly. I will come back tomorrow, she said. When my parents arrived that evening, they counted the coins like always. Then my mother leaned in and sniffed me. You smell like someone talked to you, she said. My heart almost stopped. How could she know? Who came near you? She demanded. No one, I lied. She slapped me. Don't lie. But I stayed silent. If I told them, they would chase the woman away. The next morning, the woman returned, and she brought food and clean water. She smiled again. You didn't eat yesterday, did you? I shook my head. Here, take this. You deserve to be cared for. No one had ever spoken to me like that. No one had ever looked at me like I mattered. From that day onward, she kept visiting. Her name was Sarah. She was a volunteer teacher at a community school. She read stories to me, taught me new words, encouraged me to dream. Dream, a word I had never used before. But then something happened that almost destroyed everything. One afternoon, my father arrived earlier than usual. He saw Sarah kneeling beside me, showing me a book. His face changed. His eyes darkened. And without a word, he ran toward us. Sarah looked up, surprised. Sir, I was just... But my father didn't let her finish. He grabbed her arm and pulled her away from me. Don't ever come near my daughter again. Sarah tried to speak. I just want to help her. He shoved her, hard. Leave her alone. She is ours. We need her. Sarah looked confused. Need her for what? For money. I gasped. He said it out loud. Sarah stepped back, horrified. You are using her. My father shouted, mind your business. Sarah's eyes filled with anger and pain. She looked at me, helpless. Then she turned and walked away quickly. My father grabbed my bowl, checked it, and slapped me again. This is your fault. Tears ran down my face. I didn't see Sarah for 3 days. My heart felt empty. But on the 4th day, something unexpected happened. A car stopped near my tree. A shiny black car. A man in a suit stepped out and walked toward me. Are you Hannah? He asked. I nodded slowly. My name is Mr. Harris. Someone told me about you. He knelt down and smiled. Would you like a chance to change your life? A chance. Change my life. I didn't even know what that meant. But before I could answer, another shadow appeared, tall, angry, and shaking with rage. My father. He stormed toward us like a wild storm. What are you doing with my daughter? He yelled. Mr. Harris stood up calmly. Sir, we only want to help. My father grabbed the wheelchair handle and tried to pull me away, but Mr. Harris blocked him. Step aside, he said firmly. You cannot keep using this girl like this. People in the market began gathering around. Whispers filled the air. What's happening? Is the girl in danger? Why is her father shouting like that? My father panicked. He looked around, saw the crowd, and suddenly did something unbelievable. He leaned close to me and whispered, If they take you away, we will get nothing. You hear me? Nothing. Then he grabbed the wheelchair harder and pushed it. Not forward, but toward the busy road, filled with moving cars. The crowd screamed. My chair rolled fast. Faster. My heart jumped out of my chest. A car was coming straight toward me. I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't stop the chair. I couldn't scream loud enough. Everything happened too fast. And just when the car was inches away from hitting me, the world went silent. The car screeched so loudly that it felt like the whole world held its breath. My wheelchair stopped just a few inches from the front bumper, the metal frame shaking under me. The driver jumped out, his face pale like he had seen a ghost. People screamed. Some covered their mouths. Others ran toward me. But the person who reached me first was not the driver. It was Mr. Harris. He lunged forward, grabbed the handles of my wheelchair, and yanked me away from the road with shaking hands. Hannah, Hannah, look at me, are you hurt? I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Everything felt like a dream I couldn't wake from. All I knew was that I should have died. I should have been lying on that road, broken. But something stopped the car. Something saved me. Was it luck? Was it grace? I didn't understand it yet. People began shouting at my father. What kind of man pushes a child into the road? Are you mad? Do you want to kill your own daughter? My father looked around, his face red with anger and shame. But he didn't look sorry. He didn't look scared. He looked desperate. Desperate people are dangerous. He stretched out his hand toward me again, but Mr. Harris moved between us. You will not take another step, he said firmly. My father spat on the ground. She is my child. I can do whatever I want. No, Mr. Harris replied. Not anymore. A woman in the crowd added, we all saw what you did. You tried to kill her. My father froze. Suddenly, he realized he wasn't invisible anymore. His cruelty wasn't hidden behind closed doors or whispered in dark corners. People saw him now. People were watching. And people were angry. He stepped back slowly, his eyes darting around like an animal trapped in a corner. He didn't speak. He didn't apologize. He simply ran away. Ran left me there, as if I was nothing. I watched him disappear into the street until he became a tiny speck, then nothing at all. Mr. Harris knelt beside me. Hannah, listen, we need to take you somewhere safe. I stared at him, still shaking. Where is safe? Somewhere your parents can't use you anymore. Safe. That word felt heavy, like something too big for my small hands to hold. He lifted me gently and placed me in his car. The soft leather seat felt strange under me, quiet, clean, protected. I had never been inside a car before. I had only watched them pass by from the side of the road. The driver closed the door slowly, like I was something fragile that might break again. As the car pulled away from the market, I looked out the window. The big tree where I had spent years begging grew smaller and smaller. The spot where my wheelchair always sat was now empty. I felt like a part of me was still there, the sad part, the hurting part. But maybe that part needed to be left behind. The ride was long. I stayed quiet while Mr. Harris explained things I did not understand. There's a shelter, a place where children like you are taken care of. You will eat 3 times a day. You will not beg again. You will learn. Learn. The word warmed my heart. I thought of Sarah, the woman with the blue dress. She used to teach me new words. Would she come to this place too? Would I see her again, or had she given up on me? When the car finally stopped, we were in front of a tall white building with a green gate. Children played in the yard, laughing, running, shouting. Some were in wheelchairs, some had crutches, some had no visible problems at all. But all of them looked free. A woman with short black hair walked toward us. She smiled softly at me. Is this her? She asked. Yes, Mr. Harris replied. This is Hannah. She knelt down so her face was level with mine. Hello, Hannah. My name is Mrs. Flynn. You are safe here. Safe. There was that word again. Mrs. Flynn carried me inside. The building smelled like soap and warm bread. The walls were bright, painted with drawings of stars and animals. I felt like I had stepped into another world. She placed me on a soft bed. This is yours now, she said. Mine. A bed that belonged to me. I touched the blanket. It felt real. She brought me warm food, rice, beans, and chicken. My stomach growled loudly. I felt embarrassed, but she only smiled. Eat, she said. You must be very hungry. I nodded and ate like the food might disappear if I blinked too long. Days passed. Then weeks. And slowly, I began to change. I learned to read simple words. I learned to write my name. I learned that not everyone wanted to use me. Some people wanted to help. The other children were kind. They pushed my wheelchair during playtime, shared their snacks, giggled when I told funny stories. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. One morning, something unbelievable happened. Mrs. Flynn called me into her office. She had a letter in her hand. "Hannah," she said gently, "someone came looking for you today." My heart stopped. My voice shook. "My parents." She shook her head. "Not them." Relief washed through me. "It was a lady," Mrs. Flynn continued. "She said her name is Sarah." My eyes widened. "She came back." "Yes, she has been searching for you for weeks." Sarah walked into the office a moment later, her blue dress as bright as I remembered. When she saw me, she ran and hugged me gently. "Oh, Hannah," she whispered. "I thought something terrible happened to you. I looked everywhere." I hugged her too, tighter than I thought I could. I didn't want to let go. She knelt in front of me. "Do you want to go to school?" "Yes," I said without thinking. She smiled through tears. "Good. Because I found a place where you can learn. A special school for children who need extra help. They want you." Want me? Nobody had ever wanted me before unless it was to use me. I began classes the next week. School was hard at first. My hands shook when I wrote. My reading was slow. I couldn't move around like others. But every day I tried. Every day I learned something new. And every day I took one small step toward a future I didn't know I could have. But life has its own storms. Just when I thought my troubles were over, something happened that reminded me the past doesn't disappear just because you walk away from it. One rainy afternoon, while I sat in my classroom practicing my letters, the school gate burst open. 2 security guards rushed to the entrance, shouting. Children screamed. Teachers closed classroom doors. Mrs. Flynn ran into my room, her face pale. She grabbed my wheelchair handles and whispered, "Hannah, stay quiet. Don't move. Whatever happens, don't make a sound." My heart pounded hard. "What is happening?" I whispered. Before she could answer, a loud, broken voice echoed through the entire building. "Where is my daughter? Where is Hannah? She belongs to me." My blood turned cold. It was my father. And he was not alone. He was angry. He was desperate. And he was coming straight for me. Mrs. Flynn pushed my wheelchair into a small storage room behind the classroom. The room was dark and smelled of old books and chalk. She locked the door quietly and knelt in front of me. "Hannah," she whispered, "I need you to be brave. Do you hear me?" My voice shook. He came for me." She nodded. "Yes, but you are not going with him. Not today, not ever again." I felt my chest rising and falling too fast. My hands trembled on my lap. The fear was heavy, too heavy for my small body. I could hear the shouting outside. Footsteps, doors slamming. Then his voice again. "Hannah, come out now. I know you are here." Mrs. Flynn placed her finger over her lips and whispered, "Stay silent." I tried, but my heart was beating so loud that I felt like the whole world could hear it. Outside, the noise grew louder. Children crying, teachers trying to calm them, security guards shouting. Then a fist banged loudly on the classroom door. "Open up." Mrs. Flynn whispered, "Don't move," then slowly stood up and walked out of the storage room, leaving the door only slightly cracked. I could see parts of the classroom through that tiny opening. The door burst open. My father stumbled in, rain pouring down his dirty shirt, his face twisted with anger. His eyes searched everywhere, wild like a man chasing ghosts. "Where is she?" he shouted. "Where is my daughter?" Mrs. Flynn stood still, arms crossed. She looked smaller than him, but she didn't shake. "You can't take her," she said. "She's my child," he yelled, stepping closer. "You people stole her from me." Mrs. Flynn's voice remained calm. "We saved her." He pointed at her angrily. "Give her back now. Do you know how much money we've lost since she left? We have nothing." And that was it. He didn't say he missed me. He didn't say he worried. He didn't say he loved me. He said he missed the money. My chest tightened. Mrs. Flynn's eyes softened for a moment, like she felt the pain inside me, even from where I sat hidden. Then she sighed. "You should leave," she said. "You're not welcome here." My father laughed, a cold, broken laugh. "Leaves me. You think I came here for nothing." He took a step closer. Mrs. Flynn didn't move. "You are not taking her," she repeated. "I will," he shouted, and before anyone could blink, he grabbed a wooden chair and smashed it on the ground. Children hiding behind desks screamed. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. My father grabbed one of the broken wooden legs, holding it like a weapon. "Move," he growled. "No," Mrs. Flynn said again. He raised the wooden stick. I gasped quietly. But before he could strike her, two strong arms grabbed him from behind. "Drop it," a guard shouted. My father fought wildly, swinging his arms, kicking, screaming my name. "She's mine. I want her. She belongs to me. Let go of me." The guard wrestled him to the ground. Another guard joined in. It took both of them to hold him down. He kicked. He spit. He cursed. He was not a father. He was a storm. And I was the tree he kept trying to break. Mrs. Flynn rushed to the storage room, knelt beside me, and pulled me into her arms. "It's okay," she whispered. "You're safe now." But I wasn't okay. My tears wouldn't stop. My hands shook too hard to hold onto anything. My voice was stuck somewhere deep inside me. From the hallway, a teacher called out, "Mrs. Flynn, the police are here." The police. I froze. Would they take him away? Would he come back? Would he find me again? Mrs. Flynn wiped my tears. "Hannah, listen to me. Everything is about to change." The guards dragged my father outside. He kept shouting my name, fighting like an angry animal. "Hannah, Hannah, come out. I'm your father. You can't hide from me." I closed my eyes tightly. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to hear him. I didn't want him to be my father. A police siren wailed outside. Children whispered in fear. Rain kept hitting the roof like tiny footsteps. Mrs. Flynn lifted me into her arms and carried me to the principal's office. Sarah was already there, her face pale with worry. "Oh, Hannah," she whispered, running to me. "Are you all right?" I nodded shakily. Sarah hugged me carefully. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know he would come here." My voice finally escaped. "Why does he hate me?" I whispered. Sarah pulled back and cupped my face. "He doesn't hate you, Hannah. He hates himself. He hates his life, and he took it all out on you." I lowered my eyes. "He tried to kill me." Tears filled her eyes. "But you survived, and you won't ever be in his hands again." Before she could say more, a police officer entered the room and removed his cap respectfully. "We have him," the officer said. "He's being taken for questioning." My heart slowed a little. Not much, but a little. The officer looked at me gently. "You are safe now." But something in his voice, something in his eyes, told me the story wasn't finished. Not even close. After the police left, Sarah and Mrs. Flynn sat beside me. Rain still tapped on the windows softly. Sarah sighed. "Hannah, we need to talk about what happens next." My chest tightened. "Next?" Mrs. Flynn nodded. "Your father may try again. We can't leave you unprotected, so we have a choice." I swallowed hard. "A choice?" I asked. Sarah held my hand. "A new place wants to take you. A special home where you can learn more, grow more, and get the future you deserve." Mrs. Flynn added, "People from the government heard about your case earlier. They've offered to take responsibility for you." Government. My eyes widened. "What does that mean?" I asked. Sarah smiled gently. "It means your life is about to change, again." But before they could explain more, something loud echoed from outside. A heavy crash. Glass breaking. Voices screaming. We all turned toward the window. Someone had broken through the gate. Someone was running into the compound. And he was shouting my name again. Echananah. The shout sliced through the school compound like lightning. Echananah. I felt the air freeze. Mrs. Flynn and Sarah both turned toward the window, their faces changing from worry to shock. It couldn't be my father. The police had taken him away. So who? Before I could ask, a loud voice echoed again. HNNAH, where are you? This time the voice was deeper, stronger, more commanding. It wasn't angry like my father's. It wasn't wild or cruel. But it was desperate. A security guard rushed into the office, breathing hard. Someone is outside the gate, he said. He says he must see the girl. He knew her name. He knew the parents. He knows everything. Sarah stood quickly. Who is he? Did he say his name? The guard nodded. Yes, he said he's her grandfather. My breath caught. I didn't have a grandfather. At least not when I knew. My father and mother never talked about family. They always acted like we were alone in the world. I wasn't sure if he was lying, pretending, or real. But his voice, it didn't sound like a man pretending. Mrs. Flynn squeezed my shoulder. Hannah, stay here. She and Sarah rushed outside as the guard opened the door again and disappeared down the hallway. For a few moments, I sat alone in the office, my hands shaking. I didn't know whether to cry or hide. My mind was full of questions. Did I actually have a grandfather? Why had he never visited? Was he like my father? Or was he different? Footsteps returned quickly. Mrs. Flynn entered first, her face calmer now, still serious, but no longer afraid. Sarah followed with a hand over her heart. Then behind them, a tall old man with silver hair stepped into the room. His eyes were soft and sad, and when they landed on me, something in them broke, like he had found something precious he thought he had lost forever. He walked slowly toward me. Hannah, he whispered. I swallowed hard. Do I know you? He knelt beside me. No, child, you don't know me, but I know you, and I have been searching for you for years. Years? I blinked. Why? Tears filled his eyes. Because you are my son's daughter, and because your parents lied to me. His voice trembled. They told me you died. My breath caught. My parents lied about me. They said you were born sick and didn't survive. He wiped a tear with his thumb. I didn't believe them at first, but they told the whole family the same story, and after some years I had no choice but to accept it. He shook his head slowly. But yesterday, he continued, a neighbor recognized your father being taken by the police and mentioned he had a disabled daughter. His voice cracked. A daughter, alive, my granddaughter. He took a shaking breath. I came here immediately. I didn't know what to say. My chest felt tight and my throat felt full. A grandfather. Someone who cared. Someone who didn't want to use me. Sarah touched my hand lightly. See, grace finds you even when the world tries to hide you. The old man, a grandfather, reached for my hand gently. Child, he said, I don't have much in this world, but I have a home, and if you will allow me, I want to give you the life you never had. I whispered, you want me. He nodded quickly, crying now, more than anything. I burst into tears. For the first time in my life, someone in my family wanted me. Not for money. Not for pity. For me. Mrs. Flynn cleared her throat softly. We can help process guardianship papers, but things may take time, and your father. My grandfather's face hardened. He will never touch her again. I will make sure of it. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. You're safe now. But the truth was, this was only the beginning. Life was about to change again. And this time, it was going to change for the better. Weeks passed. My father was charged and kept far away from me. My mother tried to visit once, but I refused. My heart wasn't ready. Maybe it would never be, and that was okay. My grandfather took me home with him, a small but neat house with a garden of purple flowers. He cooked for me, pushed my wheelchair, read books to me, and never raised his voice. Not once. He treated me like I mattered. One evening, after dinner, he knelt beside my chair and said, Hannah, would you like to join a special program? A program? I asked. He nodded. The government has a training school for children with disabilities. They teach skills, computer work, leadership, public speaking. They help young people find their voice. Voice. The word felt important. My voice had been locked away for so long. I looked at him. Will it help me walk? He touched my cheek gently. It may not fix your legs, but it will fix your future. I smiled slowly. Then I want to go. And so I did. The training center was big, clean, and full of children like me, but stronger, braver, louder. They weren't ashamed of themselves. They weren't hiding. They were shining. I wanted to shine too. At first, everything felt strange. The hallways were wide. The wheels of my chair rolled smoothly. Teachers spoke gently, explaining things slowly. The food was warm. People smiled at me. I wasn't used to smiling back. But with time, I learned. I learned how to type on a computer using one hand and a special stick. I learned how to read faster. I learned how to speak confidently. I learned how to tell my story without shaking. One of the teachers, Mr. Grant, always said, "Hannah, your voice will open doors your legs cannot." I believed him. Months passed. Then one day, the biggest surprise of my life arrived. The school principal announced an upcoming event. The governor was visiting the center to honor exceptional students. Exceptional. And somehow they chose me. Not because I was crippled. Not because people pitied me. But because I worked hard, studied hard, and helped others in the center. That night, I cried into my pillow, not from sadness, but from disbelief. Grace had found me. Again. The day of the event came. My grandfather ironed my dress. Sarah came to do my hair. Even the children in the center helped polish my old wheelchair, making it shine like something new. When we arrived at the government house, the building looked like a world I didn't belong to. Tall white walls, soldiers marching, flags waving. But I rolled through the gates anyway, heart beating fast. Inside the hall, important people sat wearing fancy clothes. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered. My name was called. I rolled forward, and the sound of applause filled the room. The governor stepped forward, smiling wider than I'd ever seen an adult smile at me. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "today we honor a girl whose courage reminds us what grace truly looks like." Grace. That word again. It followed me like a shadow, but a good shadow, a warm one. The governor continued. This young girl was once abandoned, mistreated, and forced to beg on the streets. But instead of breaking, she rose. Instead of giving up, she learned. Instead of hiding, she found her voice. The hall was quiet. People listened. People cared. And today, the governor said, she stands with us not as a victim, but as a symbol of hope. He reached out his hand toward me. But before I could take it, a loud voice screamed from the back of the hall. Don't listen to her. She doesn't deserve this honor. I recognized that voice. It was my father. Everything froze. Guards rushed toward him. My heart pounded hard. He pushed past one guard. He pointed at me. You owe me. All this glory should be ours. You are what you are because of me. The crowd gasped. I felt cold. Very cold. The guards tried to stop him, but he kept shouting. You think you can hide behind them. You think they care about you. You are nothing without me, he screamed. My chest tightened. For years, he made me believe that I was nothing. But now I was standing in the government house. Now people were clapping for me. Now I had a grandfather, a teacher, a school, and a future. And for the first time ever, I realized something. He was wrong. I lifted the microphone with my shaking hand. The hall fell silent. Everyone waited. Even my father stopped shouting. I took a deep breath. And I said, I'm not nothing. My voice echoed across the hall. I was nothing when you made me beg. I was nothing when you left me hungry. I was nothing when you pushed my wheelchair into the road. Gasps filled the room. My father's face changed. But I am not nothing now, I continued. I am someone. I am loved. I am learning. I am growing. And grace lifted me to this place, not you. My grandfather stood behind me, proud tears in his eyes. Sarah covered her mouth with her hand, crying softly. The governor nodded slowly, respect shining in his eyes. My father took one step forward, and the guards grabbed him. He screamed my name, one last time before they dragged him out. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I turned toward the crowd and lifted my chin. The governor whispered, "You are brave, Hannah." For the first time in my life, I believed those words. The hall erupted into applause. Loud, warm, endless. That was the day everything changed. That was the day I stopped hiding. That was the day I entered the government house, not as a beggar, but as a girl lifted by grace. And from that day forward, my story belonged to me. Not to my parents, not to my pain, to me. Because grace takes the broken and makes them whole. Grace takes the forgotten and makes them chosen. Grace takes a crippled girl begging under a tree and places her in a hall where leaders rise to welcome her. My name is Hannah. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for more videos.